fights.
Yes.
And you have so much pick potential, like skirmish.
This one is going to be amazing right out of the gate, I believe. We'll see it.
At this point, we just kind of have to reset our mind to what actually defines this matchup. Because so much of what these teams have done at Worlds thus far gets thrown out the window. However, the tendencies will remain, because so much was made about how much damage Def dealt and what a hyper carry he was, specifically on Twitch.
Right.
That 44% of his team's damage that he did in the group stages. In the semifinals, that fell substantially. Acorn actually did 26% of his team's damage as a top laner because they swapped their farm priorities. They kind of turned Acorn into a carry with some Rumble games. Now with Varus on Deft, that puts him in a much more supportive role from the AD carry position and puts a lot more pressure on Acorn to step up in this series. So I'm actually not expecting a lane swap unless it's initial, especially after picking a Kali, right? Who expected Looper to play a Kali? He's known as such a laid back and passive hard show up in the top lane, and right away Looper leaves.
Yeah, and with these comps here, as you just mentioned before, it's going to be a lot about Samson White getting the skirmish going in terms of the team fighting, because if they all pile on to the same target, you have the Zillion, you have the Kale, and that's going to mean Samson Blue is
early invade here.
So they have to split it up here. Let's see what happens. Samson Blue want to try and get 3 buffs, but a lot of people from Samson White, they should be able to secure it. Even Porn can join in.
This has been such a quick reaction by Matcha to make it back up here. The fact that they had their 80 carry support bottom and were still able to go up and defend Dandy is huge.
Yeah, but because there's so many people from Samson White on the top side of the map, Acorn could now teleport down bottom side. Im is left alone, he's only level 2 and he was fast pushing. Normally, if you want to rotate your members around the map, you freeze the bottom lane or the top lane wherever you have your lane swap, and your AD carry just sits back and can zone the enemy top laner. This time around, he pushed it, opened up for Acorn to come down and get some good farm.
Well, we saw one way to get under Blue's skin was to take chances in the early game. Less preparation and more just gung-ho was one way to get under their skin. Right now, everything's kind of on the board and the risk.
The mid laners can't really do anything but sit back and farm. However, Pawn is a guy who loves trying to get solo kills.
Exhaust already out. Dade's going to be able to get some damage. Flash is out of the left. Steal Q. Oh, man. Get some flow up. That Ignite will not take him down, but we got Summoners down in mid.
Start their recalls here, and knowing Samson White didn't actually start the Dragon yet. It's all about the Dragon right now for Samson White. If Samson Blue suddenly shows up 4 members on the top side, they might go for it anyway. Now they do get the ping.
They are assuming here that Zillion went to the top lane. Honestly, the way these teams are playing right now, it's almost like they just turned it up a notch. From every game we've seen in the group stage to now, they seem to be playing faster, they seem to be playing crazier, more unpredictable is actually the most resounding thing I'm seeing here. They're making a lot of moves that they just haven't made throughout this entire...
You even see Dade hovering the top side of his mid as he still has Pawn pushed back to the turret. Top and bottom turrets about to fall for both sides. And that can still...
With Twitch, one of the dangers we've seen with Blue is they have a tendency to fall behind. Almost cost them against Cloud.
Whoa!
Chain of Blue and White scrimmed each other because they've been expecting to face each other at some point in this World Championship. They know how strong one another are. They've been hiding strategies from each other. They have their own coaches. They're 2 separate teams in a sense when Worlds is approaching, and we're seeing how much they've been hiding from one another. This will be the first slightly more controlled Dragon I think that we'll see. White does have the early positioning right here. They do have an edge leading into this. Let's see if they pull off a gank before the Dragon.
Oh, here come both. Teleport down. It's going to be right on top of each other. Dade gets what he wants. He is going to be out of the fight, and he also has the intervention on. Pawn almost goes down here, but he gets the brush control. Denies the vision. Oh no, Looper.
wanted to get there. They outnumbered them with the Janna roaming down a little bit earlier. The Kale ultimate was mistimed onto Dade, and it reacts perfectly with the spawn of the Dragon. They had the ward control before then, which gave them the advantage in the fight because they knew the numbers advantage, and they turned it into a cute edge.
And you have to respect the Jace pick here early on. That was anyway.
True.
So we have to see if they can control themselves, because the late game shotgun has been popping. Here's the assassination onto Def.
Oh, Def could get hit. That is going to be the Zillion ulti, but he can take out Hart as well. This is going to be some big damage. Hart just gives that one up, thinking Def would come up sooner, maybe?
No, what was he doing? I'm flash job as well.
That's what we see. Varus is vulnerable to Twitch openings, especially if he doesn't get a huge lead early. The fact they haven't made any plays with that chain of corruption is even more concerning here for Blue. White definitely trying to take a whole bunch of control here. And yes, Deficio, I agree that White has gotten overconfident, but that happens when you just stomp on everyone almost every single game.
100%.
Put the boot down one more time on this one. Alerted that Dandy is there. Red buff on him as well. So whoever gets tagged is probably going to be tagged for death. Dandy took it out. A great heal coming from Mata to save Dandy. Another jump from Looper as he gets a kill. Can Dade and the rest of the team answer? Is there any rebuttal to these kills? Whoa. Not in range for the Oswald. And Flash is out. Somehow he lives. And they're going to take down Spirit as well. Dade throws himself in the pan, and it's way too hot to get out alive.
Into desperate plays because they know how far they're falling behind. It is just going from bad to worse.
And Looper in this one-on-one he had with Egg, yeah, they want to fight again.
Oh my gosh, that damage coming out of Pawn through the shock blast. They definitely have to bounce.
And here's the darndest thing about that Zillion pick. Actually, they don't have any vision control, so they're getting collapsed on.
Faked out teleport. So, which almost seems like a harder task when you have two people that can really lead the team quite well. Right now, Pawn being quite a bit of that. As you said, 50% health. The alert onto Def, but they're going for Dade a little bit here. Dandy at least striking fear into his opponent. Spirit way too close onto this one. One last shot, but it looks like he's going to outlive this one, even with the Venom on him. And it is only Imp down. Now Dade falls. It looks like they back off for now, but a lot of continuous pressure in this game.
And that is the setup you can do when you have the Yasuo and...
I really like the way that White is approaching these team fights. They're trying to bait and switch their point of attack there.
All the time.
Dandy was so far away from the origin point of Imp's Twitch that it would have surprised and outplayed almost every other team in the world, but Blue was quick enough to react and collapse onto Imp. That's why they only got punished in a 1-for-1. However, because of the ridiculous gold lead, they still had enough pressure. That was a pre-Dragon fight. Yep. White does that repeatedly every time the Dragon is up. Fight before the Dragon, so the Dragon itself is incontestable, and they pull even farther in.
And it's fun to see how these Samsung teams often use Twitch. It's pretty much a bait, because you actually are going to be in the front.
Relatively low farm numbers across the board. The Pawn versus Dade matchup is getting out of control, and they're really just hoping for catches in any way, shape, or form, but they are one step behind White here, and when they walk into a place with wards, they get a shock blast to the face, and they have very little way of recovering.
This could be, Imp getting out of that one beautifully. There's the teleport coming in. He goes right back onto, that's going to be Acorn, but it was one other right before he got to it. Acorn all by himself. They still go in for the fight. One down, now two down. That's going to be Dade up off the Chrono ship. But Looper wants to fight for himself. He actually draws out an exhaust. They're giving themselves so many follow-up opportunities.
At the end of the day, it's a 3-for-1. You can see how ridiculously competitive these team fights are, despite the goal.
And face check you and take the fight once again, because all you want to do is have them come and fight.
An amazing amount of wards on the map right now for White. 4 counted for Blue across, and that is just so much vision White's able to use to get the fights they want, to poke from the fog of war. And it looks like they're going to be heading up towards that Baron side.
Oh, Spirit recalled on a pink ward. They know he's not going to... No, he's back in base.
It's whatever they want. It's made even easier by the fact that police in steal isn't even a possibility. This is the game for White that just goes completely according to plan. None of the weaknesses are exposed here for Samsung White. They're a team that generally does this to pretty much everyone. They pull ahead by a huge amount of gold by the mid-game, and then end it before it gets late. Blue needs to somehow find a better way of extending the game and not getting...
On to Varus. We don't usually see that used for his poke a lot, so he's got to get close to these fights where he's going to get assassinated, possibly just like this. If dodging out the Q, there is that wind wall, but Dade cannot force himself to pass it. He's got to back off here.
At least he stays alive here, trying to kill him. But Samsung White just needs to go back, 5 members once again. You have so many ways of engaging the fight. You have the ringer, even the Twitch going in. Oh, Imp, be careful.
There it is, a very nice Yasuo ult coming in. Dade's gonna fall very fast. Def putting out a bit of damage to take down Imp, but there's so much follow-up now that there's not much they can do. 3 for 1.
White just does so much damage, it is impossible to stop this. It's just gonna be an ace.
One on the heart. Heart goes down. They even throw down the Randuins for the show. It's going to be a dead Zillion when he comes up. That's an ace, and they didn't even need him for it.
And it's just insane how, go back to the start of the game, the Akali lost a lot of farm, was behind.
Yep.
And then we have the fight in the bottom lane, which goes in favor of Samsung White. The Jace pick really...
minutes. And this is honestly what Blue needs to start thinking about right now.
Yeah.
What happened, and how do we prevent it from happening again? So much of it, I think, is just around Dandy's movement in the early game. He was unattacked. The lane swapping was wondrous by Samsung White. The way they were playing in between things, completely avoiding points of contention, getting Imp farmed up, getting Pawn ahead in the mid lane against Dade.
That was one-on-one.
Controlling Dragon. That was one-on-one. I mean, where does Blue actually go from here to try and come back, and if they almost have to completely retool their strategy?
Well, if you want to pick the same comp, you cannot take that early game fight they took. That's why they closed the bottom lane. Now they're just getting killed left and right, but the fight they took in the bottom lane, top lane between 2 towers, won another fight, and suddenly they were 5k gold ahead, and Samsung Blue was just way too far behind. They need to wait such a long time here, and we have a fight again.
One hit. There's the disengage
Here's
from
the flank.
Mata.
Watch Akali from the back.
Dade's trying to find what he can. Death gets hit up. There's no peel for him. Chain of Corruption did go out, but as soon as Looper is let out of that prison, he is just knocking down the walls and finding more kills. A double for him. Another ace for Samsung White.
It's almost a 20,000 gold lead at 26 minutes. At this point, Blue has absolutely zero chance of winning this game. It's been like that for a while. The easiest ace yet. Dandy basically blew someone up by himself at the start of that fight. It started 3-5. It ended 5-0.
21-3 right now, gentlemen. 26 minutes in, a 20,000 gold lead. Absolutely crazy. Nothing we thought would come out of the board on the board in the first game, but Samsung White is making it a reality. Like you said, Jap, Blue's definitely going to have to think about game 2. A lot of comfort picks across the board for them. I'm not sure why this is happening.
Yeah. Now, at this point here, Samsung Blue, they have to try and get some global gold. They cannot just sit back anymore. Therefore, Samsung White gets a nice engage onto them. Dandy is already tanky. He has the Randuin's home, and he's so far ahead. And Imp just comes in. Do I manage to jump him? Flash ulti for Mata. Everyone stays alive. Beautiful. And this is what happens when you're about 20k gold ahead at 26 minutes.
Yep. Yeah. Even with the lead, though, White's still playing these fights very well and by the book. The exhausts are on Yasuo at just the right time. They're still peeling for Twitch. They're still flanking for the squishy targets on the outside of the fight. White is completely prepared and ready to go here.
Just constantly switching targets. It's beautiful to see the way to do it. Get the ulti, okay, go. Next target. And just switch around. And the Janna pick, against Yasuo Lee Sin, against double melee champions, we can say, has really showed during World Championship how strong it can be to save your AD carry.
We see now Pawn, a little bit of extra cash in the bank, putting a Essence Reaver down in his inventory as well, also with the blue buff. Why not?
Yeah, more CDR. He should be around 40% right now with all of his stuff. And so we have seen Blue being slow starters to best of 5 in the past. I mean, their first game against Cloud9 was really slow. They got steamrolled by Cloud9, but this feels a little bit different. It's almost like White is really demoralizing them here. Blue hasn't been able to find catches in pretty much any situation. Every fight they thought was positive has turned negative.
Oh my gosh!
That was scary.
Oh, I felt that one over here. Spirit tries to get out of this one. Somehow he started this fight with almost 10% HP. Looper is hit up, but he's got that Zanya's finish. Dade gets poisoned to death with an extra hit coming in from Pawn. And these guys are just putting on a clinic with this composition right now. May or may not happen in game 2, but they will definitely have momentum here as they hit the Nexus turrets. 28.5 minutes into this game. Baron's up in 30 seconds if they even want to retreat back to get it, but I think they're going to put the nail in the coffin here.
It has been an absolutely exquisite performance here by Samsung White. Nobody actually expected a 26,000 gold lead at 28 minutes in game 1 of the semifinals, but here we are.